All right, let's go. 3, 2, and 1. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Persuasion by the Pint. I'm Jonathan Taylor, along with
Sean McCool. And we've got a special guest in the studio today, Jonathan.
Absolutely.
Yeah, old friend.
Exactly. You guys
really
have been, how long have you known each other? Just curious.
Oh, it gets ridiculous when you start talking about our origin, that we have origin stories here. High school. High school.
So 80s.
The 80s.
Yeah.
80s.
80,
man.
I guess, let's see, 80, because you went to different middle school because you were on the other side of the tracks.
That's right.
You were South middle
actually
school.
Went to
north.
A private school through middle school, and then I went to a public school. In high school, that's when I met you, Sean.
Yeah.
In my sophomore year, you were a freshman.
Yeah.
And
85-ish, I guess is when we
85.
met.
85. So you guys,
maybe.
So you guys are the same class?
No,
Scott's a year ahead.
apart.
You're okay.
Scott's older. Much older.
Gotcha. But you guys are probably still sporting those members only jackets. Let's see, 85.
Oh yeah, Jay Riggins.
Back in the closet, yeah.
Yeah, we got the Jay Riggins stuff going.
Oh wow, the Jay Riggins, man.
Chess King
name.
Little Chess King going on.
Yeah, way back.
Z Cavaricci's.
That's crazy.
Parachute pants.
All right, so you got to introduce. We're leaving our audience is like, okay, who is
this guy? Well, it's just a friend. We're actually chatting. Jonathan and I were chatting on one message about today's show, and Scott was on another message with me, and I was like, oh, I'll just invite Scott on too, since this is going to be kind of a random flight of stuff. We are going to be
when I woke up this morning, this was not on my agenda.
This was not. So we just lassoed him in. But yeah, so Scott is a 30-year veteran speaker. He's also a digital marketing strategist. We'll be throwing out his website here in a little bit, but yeah, he's been speaking since high school. I mean, he started in high school.
I did. Yeah. I did actually. Public speaking back then.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's actually been over 30 years.
Yep.
Don't want to admit that, but yeah, it's
a long time.
Almost 35. So yeah, and so we brought Scott in to kind of be an extra voice because I know it's been a year and y'all are probably tired of hearing just us. So
exactly,
we brought in a third voice to bring some new perspective.
And a good voice too. Scott's got that deep,
he's got that radio voice, man.
He's got that radio FM voice.
I'm just here to fix what's broken.
Yeah,
that's right.
Well, clean up the mess you guys have been making.
I don't even know where to start there. I mean,
podcast after podcast.
It's gonna be a long show.
By the way, I love the backdrop that you got there. That is really cool.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much.
She gets a lot of comments on that.
I do get a lot of comments on that. Anytime I get on shows like this, I get comments about my background. I was actually in a board meeting on Zoom last night, and somebody said, "Hey man, cool background."
So I'm curious, is that real stacked stone, or is that
it is not. It is
because it looks real.
It looks real, but I
mean, it looks.
But no, it's not real. It's no more real than your wife's makeup on a good Sunday.
Hope she's not listening.
It's just supposed to enhance what's already there.
No, I mean, it looks like it really stands out. You know, I mean, it's got that 3D effect, so you can't tell. But
yeah, well, I would venture to guess that. I mean, I've never been in either of you two places like where you're at right now, I don't think, but I would venture to guess that out of three cameras, three video angles that are up right now, all three of them have fake walls somewhere in.
Sure.
Yep.
Right.
Fake wall here.
Yeah.
Fake wall on Sean. So
that's a real wall. It's just the bricks are fake.
Okay.
Fake texture.
Fake texture. Yeah.
That's Home Depot, man. Well, not Sean, but
yeah, but I've got a fancy camera. I can like zoom in and out.
That is cool.
I can pan in and out.
You know, I bought that, Sean, but I have yet to figure it out.
Oh man,
I think I've installed it, but it's
you just got to select a different camera. That's all there is to it.
It's a little beyond my patience level, so maybe I'll get it figured out over the weekend.
Rotate me around too.
Just keep yourself upside down.
In fact, that playing with that actually makes me feel like the topic we're going to be talking about today.
Oh, yeah.
The 5 marketing lessons of the great John Madden. We'll be talking about that.
That's right.
We'll also be talking about a simple 3-part formula for doubling your business, if that's something you might want to do in 2022.
Ooh, yeah.
And then the little known secret commonality. I was trying to find another word to put in there to make it hypier, of two of the world's greatest marketers. So we'll figure out what that tie-in is later in the show. But first, we get some beverages to talk about.
That's right. We sure do.
And
we sure do. So I forgot to ask Scott.
He's got
he's drinking something.
He's got something.
Okay. I'm going to
sell it.
Start with my non-alcoholic strawberry flavored Waterloo.
Okay.
Waterloo.
This is carbonated. It's got a nice little kick to it. But I go through a lot of Waterloo.
Really?
As a matter of fact, I get thank you notes from the company. I mean, it's
got it stocked up, huh?
Oh my gosh. Half my basement's Waterloo.
Now I think I saw a straw in there earlier. That was cute.
My wife always includes extras like that when she brings it. But
that's nice.
I have never had a Waterloo, although I do listen to a little. What is it, ABBA or what is it?
Yeah.
That old group, Waterloo.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. All right, Jonathan, what do you got over there?
All right, I'm sporting actually a Christmas gift, and I think I showed this to you, Sean, but I saved it for today.
There you go.
As difficult as it was, this is a St. Bernardus, which we've had on before, but we've never had the Christmas ale right here. So this is a big one. You may think, is he going to drink that whole thing today? Probably. Yes.
Probably.
So this is a St. Bernardus Christmas ale. I got to give you a little description. It is a intensely dark beer with a full yet slightly fruity flavor, overflowing with taste of winter and zesty seasonal aromas.
Nothing like the taste of winter, man.
Has a magnificent finish of dried fruits and chocolate. Just like all of our beers, this brew bears the imprint of the unique St. Bernardus yeast that gives it its own special complexity.
Nice.
So this 10%, I do know that, let's see, only 20 IBUs. So
pretty
mild. Be good. Yeah. Pretty mild. So.
All right. Well,
and this is, I got to figure out how to open this. I'm not used
to
these.
You got a cork. Don't poke your eye out.
Champagne.
Don't shoot your eye out. That would be awful. All right. So I've got from Real Ale Brewing Company, which is another local brew here in Texas, the Black Quadruple. So this is a quadruple black ale, and it is 10.5%. And it says a Trappist inspired ale. Join us in paying tribute to the monistic brewing tradition. Subtly sweet with a delicious dark complexity.
We see that?
You want this or you want the bottle?
I want the bottle.
Black Quad from Real Ale.
So, yeah.
Quadruple black ale. It's very dark. I'm going to put the ring light
out. Look at this.
Yeah, it's a brownish, not quite black, but that's a lot of head there. So,
by the way, I got these. This is another Christmas reference. I got these new glasses. These are stout glasses for Christmas.
Like
and
that was on my list, but nobody got it for me.
Well, I've been told that they're supposed to enhance the flavor. I'm not sure. I'll have to see. Look that up and find out the science behind that. But
yeah, well. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Cheers. Kick off the show.
I got a lot of foam here, so I may not.
Yeah, you're going to have a mustache full of foam. Oh, that's pretty good. So, Scott, we do a rating 1 to 5 pints on the show. Obviously, you're a fan, so you can do partial numbers. You can do pie. You can do whatever you want. So,
forgot the beer ring.
That's a new thing. New prop. It's all right. It's a new prop. So, Scott, what do you give your Waterloo strawberry Waterloo on a scale of 1 to 5 pints?
Oh, it's a 5. I mean, favorite drink.
Really?
I want it all the time. Sure.
Right.
All right.
We don't give fives. We don't give fives away very very often around.
It's a
here,
4. I meant 4.
Those are reserved for only the best.
It's a 4, and I'm searching for a 5 in the Waterloo.
Aren't we all?
Niche.
Yes. All right. All right, Jonathan, have you tasted yours yet?
I think we've ever had a drink that got downgraded right on the spot.
Yeah, take the applause. Can you play that applause?
I didn't know the
applause in
rules.
reverse?
All right. Let's see. I need another sip of this because there's so much
Okay,
foam.
well,
Why don't you go ahead?
I'll do mine. So definitely, oh, this is good. It's definitely got more of an ale and less stout. So you can definitely tell it's an ale.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as sweet as a stout. So it's definitely more ale-y. So I'm going to give it, got to put on my ale hat to think about scoring there. I'm going to give this a 4.25.
Okay.
So it's good.
This is an ale too, so I'm kind of in the same situation. It's kind of put the ale hat on. It reminds me a little bit of one of those Cherokee ales, but maybe a little more fruity.
Okay.
I'm going to give it a. It's good. I'm going to give it a 4 even. Yeah,
okay. But does it taste like winter?
No.
That's the question. Oh, okay.
No, it doesn't taste like winter. It just tastes like an ale.
Okay.
Nice try. Nice
what
try.
does
St.
winter
Bernardus.
taste like?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if it's
fall tastes like pumpkin spice.
right.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Summer maybe has
lemon,
peach, but
lemon peach,
definitely.
Yeah.
Winter
cinnamon maybe.
Yeah, maybe cinnamon, a little chocolate, coffee. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think those heavier type porters and stouts, with the dark chocolates.
Yeah,
it's probably more.
That's more winter
stuff.
to us.
So winter, yeah.
This would, yeah, you're right. This would be more of to me. This would be more of a fall. It would feel like more of a fall. Even
probably just leftover, slapped a new label on it.
Exactly.
We got to move some of this stuff, man. Put a Christmas label on it. That'll do it.
Up the price by $20.
Exactly.
Call it a Christmas ale.
All right.
There it goes.
All right. There's a marketing lesson right there. We haven't even gotten started. So, So Jonathan, you texted me this morning. You're like, did you see actually, I think you talked about John Madden first. And right after that, you got a email from our friend Bill Mueller over at
yeah, it's crazy coincidence. I didn't even know he'd put an email out. So
yeah. So I mean, he usually writes a couple days ahead. So he obviously did a special, for John Madden.
Yeah.
And hey, with our track record, we had Dan Kennedy on after he died, and now he came back to life. Who knows? We may bring John Madden back.
That's right.
Boom. Just like that.
Man, if only had a boom button here.
Boom, pow. And if not, it'll just be a doink. So, oh well. But yeah, so you said John Madden. So we got 5 points that we want to cover with John Madden. And 4 of those points we stole liberally from Bill's email. Since, that's.
Yeah, originally I was reading an article from, I think it was a Time magazine that I just happened to come across. The title was How John Madden Became the Most Influential Person in NFL History. It was actually pretty interesting because there were some things on here that I didn't know about Madden, especially from his coaching days. Obviously most people are familiar with him. Like the younger generation know him from obviously Madden football. And then kind of us, I guess not our boomers, but us, us middle-aged guys know him from, from as a telecaster or, TV guy. But it's interesting, there's some facts in here I didn't know. Obviously I think you referenced he didn't fly,
right,
which is pretty odd. But yeah, I think what's fascinating about him is kind of a transition, somebody that goes from coaching into the broadcast booth, and just, I think what he brought, more or less to, television, something that from what I was reading in the article, something that had never been tried. You bring in a coach at the time into kind of the color commentator guy. And, it was kind of new. Everybody was an analyst. Maybe they had former players and so forth. But here's a guy that was just kind of rough around the edges, kind of one of these blue collar guys. Had a winning record in the NFL. Had some personality, had some anger problems. Obviously, I didn't realize, you kind of delve into somebody's past and kind of a hothead a little bit. So,
well, I mean, he was a coach in the 70s, Oakland,
those are the bad guys.
That's kind of to be expected.
Right.
Oakland. I mean, it's a tough town, so you got to be tough. So, yeah. So before we get started,
you were talking about us being from the 80s. I mean, there was a time when anger was popular.
That's right.
Nobody got offended by it. It's like, it's kind of normal.
Yeah, just what you did, right?
That's right.
It's like, yeah,
everybody saw Roadhouse.
Well, of course. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, do you guys remember there's a time, and it's so hard to believe that we think about this nowadays, but there was a time when, people would sit and smoke cigarettes, right in front of the TV, and as they were doing the play-by-play or
on planes.
Yeah.
Everybody was smoking on the plane.
Yes.
Yeah. It's crazy. All right. Before we really dive in, I want to do something here in honor of John Madden. So just to set the tone. So let me share my screen. Use my old remarkable tablet here. All right. Can y'all see that?
Look at you. That's cool.
All right. So here we go. So John Madden, right? So first he was on the football field, right? And then boom, he went over here and he became a commentator. Had the headset, had the mic going on the commentator stuff. And then boom, he went over here and he started making video games, right? Here's Sega, little controller here. Boom, A, B, control. Hide, whatever. It's cheat code. So this is what Madden was all about right here. That's my Madden.
Love it.
That is a great summary right there.
That is.
That's his life. 3 different big roles that he did, and he did them all really well.
That's a great synopsis of the life of Madden.
All day to do that.
Please print that out, sign it, and send me a copy.
It's an NFT. You can get it on. Buy it
instant. I don't know
that's
if I could afford it. I don't know if I could afford it.
Yeah, just 1 Bitcoin. That's all it costs.
All right, so let's talk about some marketing lessons.
Yeah.
And the first, and this is, we're going to give credit where credit's due. So we listed the 5 marketing lessons. Actually, it's really 4 from our friend Bill Mueller, who's been on the show before.
Yep.
And it's interesting. I mean, he cranked this out this morning. I took a look at it. I'm like, wow, this is perfect. So his first one is being able to take the complex and make it understandable, kind of like what Sean just did with his crazy drawings there. I don't know that it was ever done before, like the little chalkboard thing that he used to do all the time was ever done. If he kind of brought that in, but football is kind of a complicated game. So, there's so many moving pieces on defense, and a lot of people who are just watching it and kind of just the casual observer, the casual watcher, he kind of took a lot of the complexities of defense and offensive line, which, probably before that, no one ever paid attention to offensive line play. And, he brought that to a new level. I mean, he kind of like, showed, how important the offensive line was, and even had his all Madden offensive line team and defensive line teams. And so how they played such a crucial part, of the offense and defense. But he took all of those things that he entertained at the same time, using the whiteboard, being kind of exuberant. We talk about, having enthusiasm, but just the boom, the doink, the pow, so he kind of just put you in the middle of it when he was explaining it. So I think he was just phenomenal at how he was able to break down, offense and defense in just a simple way to make the casual viewer just really understand the game.
Scott, thoughts as a speaker, 34-year veteran?
Wow. Yeah, I think great communicators do that. It's not just that they know the game. It's not just that Madden knew the game. It's the way it went from his brain out his mouth
Right.
that he was able to simplify it, and I think great marketing does that. That's why, the first thing you do when you start working with a company is you get rid of all the fluff language that's noise,
Yeah.
right? If you're
Right.
a plumber, it's pipes broken, we fix them fast. I mean, this
Right.
is not rocket science.
Right.
You want to add fluff about 35 years, family business, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
credentialed. I mean, people just start in the wrong places. And the question is, if you wanted to replace Madden, you got to find a guy that doesn't necessarily know the game as well as he did.
Mhm.
It's somebody that has the ability to communicate it, to get it
Yeah.
out there in a way that has a little bit of pizzazz, but is
Absolutely.
extremely simple, just synthesizing complex things into simple statements, profound
Mhm.
facts or truths that just make sense to the average person, or even like you said, a casual sports ball watcher.
Right.
Well, and I think that's what I was going to say is like, if it wasn't for Madden, you wouldn't have the knowledge of football in the public that you do now. I mean, somebody
Yeah.
probably would have eventually come along, but even if you look at, I don't know if either of you have ever watched like the Manning brothers, the Manning brothers, the Manning brothers on ESPN for Monday Night Football. They're on ESPN 2, and they're doing their commentary, but it is so complex. But I think, John Madden kind of opened the door. I think people have evolved. There's a lot of people that do want the more complex stuff. But they could have never done that if he had not kind of broken ground. And even to this day, I would say Madden was so much more entertaining, because I've tried to watch the Mannings as they do their play-by-play stuff, and it's too much.
Yeah.
It's too complex.
It is. And you compare that to what Madden would do with just simple, very simple. Like you were just trying to illustrate with your drawings there. That's basically what he would do, is just circle, this guy's coming around here. And, he would comment about not only what's going on the field from the game standpoint, but even, you can catch clips of him, like a pigeon goes onto the field and he makes comments. He was so impromptu about things like that would happen out of the thing, and how he would he could just tie it into the game, and made it entertaining. But just simplicity, keeping things simple was so important.
There's always going to be a niche for the complex. There's always those guys that want to geek out in any market.
Sure.
But they're never the mass market.
No.
Right. That's why they're on ESPN 2 and not the lead broadcasters.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think the guy who comes closest to Madden today is Romo. Like Tony Romo is really excited. He has the same enthusiasm that Madden had. And you can tell he really loves the game. I didn't love him as a quarterback.
No.
But he's a great commentator. And I think he's got that same enthusiasm and ability to make things kind of simple that Madden had. He's not as over the top.
Right.
And I think part of that is just where broadcasting is now. I don't think you could get away with some of the stuff Madden did today. Maybe you could, I don't know. Yeah. So make the complex simple. So what's our next point?
Point number 2, he never forgot what it was really all about. So he says, Madden intuitively knew that being a great broadcaster wasn't about being the most interesting, or being the smartest, or being the best looking, obviously. To succeed as a broadcaster, you need to do one thing, and that's to be the person that people want to spend time with in their living room. So the bottom line is being relatable. I think, and that's another thing, is like Madden looked like your uncle. He didn't look like, you say Tony Romo, and I think that's a good comparison. But the fact is, Madden looks like, your
most
it looks like the uncle that comes over.
Most of the commentators today, let's be
they're
honest,
all slim.
They get a pretty face, and they're picked for their kind of pretty face.
That's right. Exactly.
Just like Scott when he's talking and speaking. But Madden, he transcended that. He didn't have to have that.
Yeah, the average lunch bucket, Joe Lunch Bucket out there could really relate to a guy like him. He talked their language. If you listen to any of any of his clips from the days with Fox or CBS or, NBC, it's just, he just talks like, he kind of taught, we talk about talking on when you're writing copy, you're writing on kind of that 7th grade, 6th
Yes.
grade, 7th grade level to be, very simple. And I think that's kind of what he was doing in terms of media, is just speaking in a very relatable style that most average Americans could, like, I get it, man. I mean, I can relate to this guy.
Yeah, and I've seen Scott speak a few times. So Scott, how do you do that? How do you become a person that like people kind of want to hang out with while you're up there speaking? Because you're speaking in front of a group.
Yeah, no, I
and
think
make it
that's
relatable
everything
to one
that's
person.
been said. I think the language level, you don't use complex words, and that's another reason why he did use pictures. Like, it's
Yep.
just real simple,
Yep.
people are visual. People are, they don't, we can't make the brain work with anything that we write or say. It has to be super simple in terms of, like you said, 5th grade level, 7th grade level.
Sure.
And you guys have talked about that before, but also humor and stories, stories about yourself or your perspective or how your perspective changed or whatever. When you peek inside of somebody's life in a way that they're maybe a little self-deprecating, they don't take themselves too seriously. It's like, man, I could hang out with this guy. He's not intimidating. He's not, he's not above me. He's not condescending to me.
And that's what most people with Madden, they always say, this guy's never pretentious. He drives around in a bus everywhere. I mean, and he's not ashamed to admit that, that's one of his failures, is that I don't get on planes.
Don't get on planes. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was never defensive about it, right? Like,
right.
Don't bring up an airplane around me.
Yeah.
I have issues. He's not. I mean, he probably welcome it. It's like, yeah, let's make the airplane jokes, guys. It's I think that's key though, is even that fact, like, most people can't relate to being afraid of flying on an airplane.
Sure.
But that kind of humanized him, brought him down to earth.
Well,
no pun intended.
And because he embraced it, it actually became a trademark. The Madden bus became this whole thing, and now
his brand.
Now the game day has a bus, and like all these,
Right.
a lot of people have a bus now.
Yeah,
that he kind of made that popular.
Yeah.
Of course, ESPN Game Day, they got their own jet with wheels up and all that stuff. So they're like,
they shuttle in all their celebrity pickers, right?
Yeah, or fly Herb Street out to whatever game, So. Yeah, so the bus, but that weakness, quote, weakness became a trademark that they could use, and people wanted to see the bus come to town and that kind of stuff. So
yeah, absolutely.
All right, so number 1 was make the complex simple. Number 2 was basically be a person worth spending time with. Number 3 is
he kept it simple, which is, a little redundant. So it says,
"Come on, Bill." Jonathan says your email is redundant.
While other coaches made long lists, this is kind of a different type of simplicity, but he says, while other coaches made a long list of rules and do's and don'ts, I actually like this.
This was more from his coaching days than his broadcast days.
Right,
really.
Right, exactly. He said Madden famously had only 3 rules for his players: was to show up on time, listen, and play hard on game days. And so, I think it's crucial, especially you talk about leadership standpoint, and even speaking, when people, if you want people to remember your point, and Scott, you can attest to this. If you want people to pick up on your point or get the lesson, from your talk, you want to keep it simple. You talk about probably anchors, things like that are
Definitely.
like keeping a few anchors there that people can just kind of visualize, keep it simple. And that's what he did. He didn't want to kind of overdo it and overwhelm his players with too much complexity. Obviously, there's 3 rules: show up on time. All you got to do is listen, and just play your hardest when it comes to on game day. Put it out your best. So obviously, there's a lot in those.
All the greats have cracked that code.
Yep.
In the financial world, it's Dave Ramsey, and people get frustrated with Dave. It's like, they outgrow Dave, right? They outgrow Dave because they want to start investing before they pay off their mortgage or whatever.
That's right.
But nobody can beat him in the financial niche.
No.
And it's and he has built a platform off the simple. That's just another example.
Yep.
John Maxwell in the leadership world, same thing.
Mhm.
There's really
Yep.
only a handful of principles that he just recycles over and over in different ways with different stories. And they're very simple. They're just,
Yeah.
and then
I-
he dominated that market with that.
Yeah. What does Dave Ramsey call them? Baby steps, right?
Baby steps.
Yeah.
Grandma
there's-
common sense.
So what's his, he's got the baby steps, he's got debt snowball, and then I think that's his main two. I don't know if he has a third one, but that's really, and $1,000 emergency fund or something like that, right?
I mean, you can
but
say, you can give his whole program in like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Right.
Literally, you can list off those things about debt snowball, you know,
Mhm.
paying off your mortgage, invest in S&P 500, what, you know, I mean, these are the things, and it's, those are patterns, by the way.
Yeah.
And so the patterns become familiar and you feel like you're mastering something because you start recognizing the patterns. Like, man, I'm becoming a financial genius because I know about debt
Sure.
snowballs and
Yeah.
S&P 500 and this and that. Same with Madden, same with anybody. You start
Mhm.
recognizing those patterns and you feel like, man, I know the game of football, right?
Mhm.
Because
Yeah, and it's, yeah, that's a great point. How it makes your audience feel like they're knowledgeable.
Mm-hmm.
We as marketers, especially, and as people who give the message, you got to have a lot of respect for guys like Dave Ramsey, John Madden, who keep it simple and say the same thing over and over and over.
Mhm.
Because it's also very easy to get bored with it and want to create something new. I'm terrible at, like, that's, I want to do that all the time.
Yeah.
But it's the familiarity that makes people feel comfortable and
Mhm.
make them feel like they know probably more than they actually do, because you're saying the same 3-4 points over and over and over.
Well, yeah, and from a business standpoint, I think it's great for them because they've created a foundation that they can build off of.
Yeah.
It never changes.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I mean, sometimes we get bored with it, but it works and it's memorable.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
I mean, you should keep using it, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll step out and give you an example of the exact opposite.
Okay.
So this is politically incorrect, but
yep.
Anthony Fauci,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah.
he's considered an expert, but he keeps changing like the mantra, right?
Yeah.
He keeps changing the language, changing the mantra, changing the rules.
Yep.
And so the mass audience, right, is frustrated. They're angry.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They're upset, and his expertise is actually dropped. So, but
Yeah.
if you do the opposite of that, like Madden, where you lay the groundwork, or Dave Ramsey, and you say the same things over and over again, then you start like, that's almost like the hallway and or the skeleton, and you're hanging meat on the skeleton every time you speak. You're embellishing points, you're giving new stories that reaffirm or restate the foundational principles. But he never ventures outside that world.
Exactly. And people don't trust. That's a good point, Scott, because people don't trust when you start changing the start changing things, moving the
goalposts.
Moving the goalposts, shifting those principles. People start to become very skeptical. Relatable, which is the CDC, which obviously changed their quarantine to 5 days this week.
Right? Oh yeah, 5 days is fine now. Don't worry about
it. People are like, okay. I mean, even it's not on one side. I mean, it's like people on both sides of the aisle, so to speak, were like, wait a minute. I mean, where's the credibility here? Because how do we go from 10 days to 5 days? And so, you even have the New York Times start to question the legitimacy of the CDC when you start to change your, fundamentals like that. So, it's just, it's so important to keep that core so consistent, keep it simple, but keep it consistent. And it's worked so well for, like you said, Dave Ramsey, we know what to expect. We may not agree with it, but we know what to expect, and it's consistent, and people trust him. Some people may not agree, and some people may kind of not like his brash approach, but they respect the fact that he is consistent.
Yes.
And he has been for the last 30 years. So
he's integrous with his rules of the game.
Absolutely.
This is the way the game works. The game never doesn't work like this.
Absolutely.
Right.
Fauci is like, this is the way the game works. Well, no, wait, it works like this. No, wait a minute. That was wrong. This is how it really works. People don't trust that. And so in your expertise, in your marketing, you've got to be consistent. You can't self-contradict
That's right.
without denigrating your trust.
Yeah, imagine if every time you open the Monopoly box, the rules changed.
The rules changed. Yeah.
I mean, like nobody would want, I mean, it's hard enough to get people to play as it is, but like
the lizard brain wants safety and predictability.
Absolutely.
Familiarity.
Predictability every time. Yep. I think Scott, another person, a friend that we know, Dan Miller, you think about his core principles of, obviously, career, teaching giving his career advice for so long, has never changed. I've followed Dan for years. I know you have.
I was at his house last month, actually.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Yeah. We were on vacation and his wife posted something on Facebook and I said, wait a minute. And it was a city in Florida. And I looked on a map and they're 6 miles away.
What part of Florida are they in now?
Just below Siesta Key.
Okay.
Nice.
Over around Sarasota. Anyway, so I spent some time with him.
Yeah.
But same, like, I just want to reinforce what you're saying, though. That's really the point. Yeah. It's not changed, man.
Yeah.
His message is still the same.
And Nike's another good example. They have not deviated. You look at Nike versus Reebok, right? I mean, Reebok's changed their logo several times.
Sure.
Like you couldn't even tell me what their tagline is, what Reebok's tagline is. You would like nobody knows what it is. But Nike's had the swoosh and just do it.
Yep.
And they go in and out of some, cultural things and things like that. But their core message is just do it.
Just do it.
Yep.
And everything comes out of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And everything plays into that message.
And I think it was David Ogilvy who said, we as marketers and as the companies get tired of our message long before the market ever does.
Yep. Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Because we've seen it hundreds of times for every one time the market might see it. And we think everybody sees it that much, which would be great, but that's not how it works.
Nope. Yeah.
In the book Made to Stick, they talked about how American Southwest Airlines they're the low cost airline.
Yep.
And repeatedly over the years, somebody's always come in and said, hey, studies show that if we add sandwiches, to the menu, and they're like, no, we're the low cost airline.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that becomes the filter for everything.
Sure. Yeah.
And a lot of brands get off track because they give into that temptation to, operate outside that simple, narrow niche of this is how this world works. This is how this industry works.
Right.
And to add on and embellish, and you tend to dilute the brand as a result.
No doubt.
Yeah, and it's so tempting, because
it is.
We're always, even though the lizard brain, we're looking for stuff familiar and things like that, especially the entrepreneurs among us. We like new things. We like shiny things. We like to try and we like to do stuff.
Sure.
The fact is most of the market is not like us.
No.
And even though we're in a world that's saturated with new ideas, new things all the time, the people that actually buy the stuff are actually looking for kind of the same stuff over and over and over and over.
Absolutely.
So if you can be that stalwart, that anchor point, it can, and it is, it's for a guy like me, like, especially like, it's hard for me to stay focused like that. I always want to come up with something new. So I totally get the feeling of wanting to do something new, but what people want is consistency.
Yep. Absolutely. When I go to Panera, I get their broccoli cheddar. I know it's going to be this. It's going to taste the same every time.
Yeah. Well, it's why McDonald's is still in business, even though everything they serve and all the bad media they get. The reason they're still in business is because you know exactly what you're going to get every time you go there.
No doubt.
When I don't go to McDonald's, I know I'm avoiding the same things every time.
There you go. Another way to look at it. All right. So what's that fourth point?
Last one, be authentic. Okay. So that we use the word authentic a lot, but John Madden was no one but himself. Anytime an aspiring broadcaster asked him for his advice on how to succeed in broadcasting, he would tell him one thing, and that would be to be yourself. So take your personality and really just kind of, be that person, I think of, in this article, he talked about Michael Vick, who many people know, former quarterback in the NFL.
Yep.
is now in broadcasting. He's with Fox Sports now, but when he was
the cockfighting franchise owner?
Yes, he was
Right
also
up there in
the
your neck of
dog
the woods.
fighting. Spent
Yeah,
some
you-
time in prison for about 3 years, actually.
Yeah.
Almost ended his career, but he had a resurgence with the for about 3 or 4 years there.
Yeah.
And recouped some of the some of that lost. A lot of people hated the guy, and
Yeah.
so he actually made a remarkable comeback there at the end. Now he's in broadcasting, but he asked Andy Reid, coach of the Chiefs, he asked his advice when going into broadcasting, and Reid said, "You need to go talk to John Madden." So he went and talked to John Madden. Madden gave him the advice. The most important advice was just to be himself. So you do that by being completely authentic with who you are. Don't try to be someone else, but use your own voice, right? And I think that's, from a marketing standpoint, that's one of the best things. We try to, we learn from our mentors, and sometimes we fall into the trap of trying to be someone else, and try to use their voice in our copywriting and our marketing. But we should take those lessons that we learn from them and really just adapt that to our own style and not try to be someone else. And I think that's good advice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So-
Be yourself, because everybody else is taken.
And I like the version of not so much, so I've heard this time and time again, be yourself. I think that's pretty good advice. I think be a better version of yourself is even better advice.
Yeah.
So, and I've heard that before, is like, don't be yourself, be a better version of yourself, which, is like, I tell my kids all the time, don't be yourself, be a better version of yourself, which is not like condescending to say that they shouldn't be who they are, but I'm like, be a better version. If you think you can be better in who you are, be better. But in other words, don't try to change, but just try to be better in where you are, what you're already doing. So
all the greats are authentic, I think, but they're authentically unique.
Right.
Prince is very different than Michael Jackson, is very different than Ray Charles.
Yeah.
And all of those guys have had copycats galore.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I read the coolest thing. Mariah Carey's song, All I Want for Christmas Is You, is still hitting all-time highs in downloads.
Yeah, every year. Yeah.
Wow.
Every year has more downloads, over a billion.
And she gets a penny for every stream.
Unbelievable.
I mean, she's raking it in over that song.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
But, did she know that she was cutting a new classic when she broke that song in the 80s? They're saying it's more popular now than it was when it was released.
Oh, yeah.
By far.
But I heard a lot of Christmas songs over mall speakers that are copycats. Like, so if I could name a few that artists that are trying to do like their own riff off that kind of that feel of whatever that song does, they cannot do it. And so, there are a lot of copycats that they'll never reach the level of the greats. So the key is find out what the greats do well. What made Madden unique? Well, he had some idiosyncrasies that allow us to like be okay with ours. I don't fly, or I say pow, bam, wow, or whatever he did, that was his shtick. Like, it's okay to have that stuff. And it probably is going to humanize you a little bit, but it's got to be your own. You can't just come along and do bam, pow, wow, and I don't fly on airplanes. That's been done. So
yeah, I think, if you look at the people you most admire, a lot of the old Be Like Mike comes to mind. Right? That, you remember that from, I think it was Gatorade, Be Like Mike.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Mike, and it's terrible advice, first of all, right? But because the people you admire most, the reason you admire them is because they're different and unique.
Yeah.
So the best way to be like people that you most admire is to be most like yourself. So, I mean, that's just the bottom line.
So in your industry, there's somebody you admire that's marketing well. I guarantee it. There's somebody that you think about, well, how would they market their business? When you're putting your marketing together, the temptation is to just carbon copy that.
Right.
But don't figure out what the principles are that drive what they're doing well.
funnel hack it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
then
actually a
add your
good
spin.
point because Bob Bly is one of my I consider Bob a mentor because he's a marketer in the world of kind of the industrial, the manufacturing world. So, but I couldn't come across. I mean, Bob's in his 70s. I'm in my late 40s. So I can't come across as a curmudgeon. It's not the same. And plus I mean, it's like, I've got another 30 years before I'm supposed to be that curmudgeon. So I can't come across like that. I've got to kind of come across differently. But
Yeah.
there's some lessons that I can take from his copywriting and incorporate that, or his marketing and incorporate that into my own personality.
Yeah.
Which I steal from him all the time, but just I don't steal his personality.
Yeah. And to your point, like he's a different curmudgeon than Dan Kennedy is.
Exactly.
Right. He's more engineering. Dan's more
Yep.
just grumpy Dan.
Mhm.
They're different, even though they're kind of both in that world that you're talking about.
Absolutely.
Angry old white men. Like we're heading there though, guys. We're all heading there.
I know. We're getting there.
So, all right. Well, let's, I had 2 teasers off the top.
Okay.
So let me segue first. So we talked about John Madden. He was, he didn't like to fly. He had the Madden bus. And the next guy that we're going to talk about, which the biggest thing I learned from him, and you got a binder there, Jonathan, but the biggest thing I learned from this guy is how to double your business. And we're talking about Jay Abraham.
Yes.
And Jay Abraham has a formula for how to double your business that is so simple, kind of going back to the core tenets. If you had to boil down everything Jay Abraham has ever said, which is a ton of stuff, he will always come back to a core principle, which is this. There's only 3 ways, and I'm going to share my screen again real quick. Okay. There's only 3 ways.
Are you going to give us a drawing?
I'm not. I thought about it, but there's only 3 ways to grow your business. One is to increase the number of clients. Number 2 is to increase the average size of the sale per client. And number 3 is to increase the number of times clients return and buy again. That's it.
Boom. I got to get my boom.
Pow. No doinks. No doinks allowed there. And like you can try to cut costs, but that's not going to grow anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these are the only 3 things to grow a business. And as a copywriter, as somebody who consults Scott, I know with you, and Jonathan with you, like this is really the only way to grow a business. There are no other ways. And to come back to that over and over and over, and we can get to the math a little bit later, Jonathan, after you talk. I want to, because I do want to share the math behind this. But we can come back to that. So Jay Abraham is somebody we're all familiar with. And again, the simplicity, and he's his own guy, but the simplicity of that, like those 3 core pieces, I think is just beautiful. And he's also one of his most famous ads is actually The Amazing Secrets of a Marketing Genius Who is Afraid to Fly. It's one of his most famous like direct mail pieces.
He's a guy like Bob Bly that I follow because he was in, I think he was in chemical sales or something like that before he got into marketing.
Yeah, well, Icy Hot was one of his big wins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because he did a JV on that.
Yeah.
And you can get,
this is, so probably 15 years ago, I've had this binder for like, you look at how thick that thing is.
Yeah.
But he's got, we'll have to post a link because you can get these free.
I think I have. I don't know if it's on the page I have, but keep talking. I'll pull this up.
It's 154 case studies, testimonials, and success stories that he's put together. I printed out every one of these because that's how good they are. Oh yeah.
Let's see this one. So this is on his site, abraham.com, profit-resources-access. And we can throw that in show notes. But like he's got all this stuff that he decided to give away. I don't know if that one.
I've got a link that I'll post in our show page. By the way, that book, scroll back up, Getting Everything You Can Out of All You've Got is the best book he ever wrote.
This is the best book.
Like,
that page I showed earlier,
like 50 times.
Yeah, that page I showed earlier is from that book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like page 3 on that book.
Yep.
Yeah, keep talking. I'm going to see if what you're talking about. I saw something about samples on here.
Yeah. So the case studies are basically, these are entrepreneurs who have probably gone to one of his events, but they've shared some of their own success stories. And he put together this into a large kind of case study thing. I've got a link to it. I'm going to post it, but, to me, it was so good that, I printed out every one of these, and I don't do this for everything, but when things like this, stuff like this that you can reference and you can implement in your own business. And a lot of this is B2B. A lot of it's B2C, B2B. But I've taken a lot of the B2B things that he has referenced in the book and really tried to take those out, implemented those. Like I said, I've spent the last, during the holidays, a great time to go through. I went through the $1 million offers, or $10 million offers. And then the case studies those things work hand in hand.
Yeah.
So 2 great references.
Well, Scott, I think you use some of this in your business and your digital marketing stuff. You kind of use some of the J. Abraham strategies, right?
I don't know specifically that. I mean, none come to mind that I've specifically used, but I'm sure, like you, I've read
you increase clients. You increase the number of clients. You increase the average sale per client. You increase the number of times clients return.
I've talked about that stuff before.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the quintessential double your business formula.
Yeah.
Has been for a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got so many of these. So I'm pulling up one right here. This is just one example, guys. So it's number 47. So I've got everything printed out here, but then I've also got them pulled up online too. So one of the case studies, number 47, I thought this was actually a pretty good takeaway. He said, even when you lose, you get valuable information. Someone will buy this information. So here's case study this is actually number 243. He says, the author of this runs 3 different businesses. So keep in mind, this guy the entrepreneur here owns 3 different businesses: a commercial construction business, an outdoor sign manufacturing business, and a billboard business. He says, I look at this and immediately thought, this guy is not sufficiently specialized. Too many irons in the fire, right? When you see a guy with like 3 different businesses like this. Right. But what he says is his construction business bids on new commercial ventures. He may get a bid, but if he doesn't, what happens? Well, here's what happens. So if his construction work is primarily for a restaurant, retail, or personal service business, he builds for these clients, and usually one of only a few people that he knows. If these people don't do business with him on his commercial, a lot of people would say, well, I didn't win that bid. Right.
Yep.
So I'm just going to, move on to the next.
Right.
Well, when you've got multiple streams, or if you've got multiple businesses, and, which some of us do, like, I'm in marketing. I do some marketing for industrial sales, in industrial manufacturers. I also do selling, I also do podcasting, sponsorships, advertising. So, if I come across a lead, or if I come across a business owner and he doesn't buy maybe the product that I'm selling to him, that doesn't mean that lead is completely a wash. That means, I still keep him in my database, and I reach back out to him in regards to maybe he wants to advertise or grow his business through my podcast. Right.
Yep.
So I always keep him. And I thought this was a great takeaway, because I do this all the time. But his point is never do away with, or never eliminate or delete any business contact that you have. Because even if they don't do business with your primary company, whether it's a construction business or what have you, he says what he does, if he's got a construction business, also he has an outdoor sign manufacturing business and a billboard company, these are prospects for other parts of his business. So he reaches back out to them and offers them obviously a deal, for these other companies. So,
yeah, which is really smart because the hardest part is getting the name.
right. Exactly.
So, but I'm curious, Jonathan, I'll ask you, and then Scott, if you've got something you can add as well. So a lot of people would be like, well, I started with this and now I'm switching, I'm changing hats. Don't I lose credibility?
Yeah.
By doing that. So Jonathan, for people listening, like, how do you make that switch? For instance, with you, like maybe you tried to sell them one of your industrial products and now they say no, but you want to sell them podcast time, an ad spot on podcast. How do you make that switch so it's not weird and not?
Yeah. So I'm totally, and anytime you get a no, I mean, that's not, you never take a no personally. There's always a reason behind that. And so you respect that and you ask them, obviously, once you find out the reasons why, if they're happy with their current provider or they're happy with their current supplier, and maybe they've been doing business with them for 30 years. So you say, you know what, I respect that.
Yeah.
But the next question I always follow up with a client in the manufacturing space is, what are you doing to grow your business? I'm just curious. And then they talk about, and what are some ways that you can get your message out there? I get them to talk about their business and how they can, what they're currently doing. And if they say, well, we're not doing a whole lot, or we need to improve, or we don't have a marketing department, or blah, 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 that's where, I start engaging them in conversations with, well, maybe I can help you. Here's what we do here. Here's what I do on my podcast. And it's pretty simple. I just lay out the numbers for them. Here's our listening audience. It's industry specific. And if you're looking to get your message out there, this is an opportunity for you. But, it just leads into another conversation. So, and sometimes it's vice versa. Sometimes I'm having a conversation regarding, podcast advertising that someone's reached out to me, and I give them a price, or I talk to them and they say, well, we may wait. And then the conversation sometimes happens, well, who's your supplier on this? Right. So we're always having a conversation, but I never count that lead out, if they say no to one side of the business, right? There's always an opportunity for the other side.
Right.
So you're always, I think the whole message here is you're always looking for how you can help your customer, how you can help your potential prospect. And I think that's what some people lose. Some people say, well, I can't help them with what I've got, and they give up. Well, you may not have a business. Maybe you're an affiliate. Maybe you know someone that you can refer them to that can help them in other areas. You know what that does? That builds trust. If you can help them in other areas, that builds a relationship that they can come back to you. So I think that sometimes people, sometimes give up too soon in the process of, when it comes to offline marketing. And I'm specifically talking to offline marketing when it comes to B2B, is you can give up too quickly if you think that, that customer may not be a fit, or they say, I'm not interested, but maybe you can help them in other ways to develop that relationship. And that's where I think that Abraham, when he's talking in this, is that there's a ton of missed opportunity when we simply give up on the initial, I'm not ready, or I'm not interested in doing business with you right now. I think that's a huge mistake. So,
yeah. Thoughts?
Because there's other areas we can help them.
Yeah. Scott, thoughts? I know
they're not saying no to you. They're saying no to that service.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah.
And so it's your job to be, I like what Abraham talks about, becoming a preeminent advisor.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So you're like, they're human Google that,
right,
man, I want
a concierge.
A concierge, if Scott ought to be so well connected that they could call me and get anything they need related to business growth.
Mm-hmm.
Marketing is a big part of that.
Yeah.
So I try to have multiple services. So
yep.
we can drive traffic on Facebook, off Facebook, multiple ways to do paid traffic. But I'm not an SEO guy. And I can also help you, though, if you're not interested in that. Complimentary service would be streamlined, systematized, digitized ways to get Google reviews fast and to market those reviews all over the internet. Well, if that doesn't work, then, I've got 2 or 3 other services. And then I'm not, like I said, I'm not an SEO guy. So
Yeah.
I have an affiliate relationship with an SEO guy that I can refer them to, and he's going to pay me a referral fee.
Right.
And so beyond that, I should have some other suppliers that I have an affiliate relationship with. At the end of the day, even if I don't, I like to have some ready answers, some ways to point them, just because I'm adding value.
Sure.
Yep.
And the more I add value, the more I'm top of mind, and the more they're going to come back to me for
Absolutely
just about anything. And there may be a time where the original service they said no to will be relevant or affordable or whatever to them at a later date.
Yeah, because if you become an advisor, when that door does open and you've stayed in contact, or you've given them 2 or 3 opportunities either with you or through you, then you're going to be at the top of the list when they are ready to make a change, because somebody's always going to drop the ball and you're going to have a chance to kind of step back in.
Yeah.
And Jonathan, it's a lot of times it's just timing.
It is.
Another way to segue with some of these prospects without diluting your brand is just, we're starting a new division. We're starting a new division, and we're going to be dealing with this subject or this niche or whatever. And it may be somewhat relevant to you, or they may know somebody.
Yeah.
They can help you, get a startup base, for that new service and get some testimonials in. So we're starting a new division, and sometimes a new division is a different company. It may be a complementary business, like the original example, where, people understand that a lot of entrepreneurs are serial entrepreneurs. It doesn't mean that you're chasing too many rabbits necessarily. Right. It just means that you're prolific and cranking up new businesses that service your clients. So it's either going to be them or somebody they know, perhaps. And so it's great to call back a prospect with a new service or a new business that you have in 6 months and say, hey, we got this beta program. It's going to be this much, but we're offering it to this much to some folks for this much. And we're starting with people we know.
Yeah.
And they may give you a yes to something that really grows into a large account down the road.
That's great. So, I love the idea of division. You could also say sister company. I think people are familiar with that idea.
Sister company. Absolutely.
You could always throw out an example of Elon Musk. Hey, Elon Musk has both SpaceX and Tesla, and they serve kind of different clients. Well, we've launched a new division of our company, or a sister company.
Sure.
Here's what we're up to. And then, like you said, Scott, like we're talking to people we know first.
Yeah.
And giving them a special offer. I think that's a great way to segue and tap into that. That's worth the whole cost of the podcast right there.
Well, and I use the word beta a lot, because beta means exclusive in a way. It means, it's something in early development, but usually people already know, well, I'm going to get a special price, and I'm going to get to try something that the mass market hasn't had a chance to dabble in yet.
Yeah. And they also kind of know, especially if they've been in the software world at all, which is where the term comes from, that it may not be perfect.
Exactly.
Right. So you kind of actually have a little leadway.
Yeah. You do.
They're willing
to
say,
do.
They're like, okay, he's going to give me a discount. Maybe it's not perfect, but hey, if it helps us, that'll help us. So that's a great little term there, beta.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I want to just show this formula because we promised it earlier in the show, and then we'll wrap.
I've got to wrap now. I want to say thanks for having me on.
Oh, yeah. So tell people, it's been scrolling across the screen, but tell people how they can find out more about you. And then Jonathan and I will wrap.
Yeah. worldtouchcompany.com, spelled out. worldtouchcompany.com.
Love that.
You can contact me that way. And that's our.
Are there any specific, Scott, any specific industries or any specific niches that you spend more time in? Or
no, we can really service anybody that wants more traffic to their website.
Okay.
We've got some things that are a little more advanced, developed for like chiropractors and medical professionals and dentists. Definitely. We even have some services that we use just for churches. Because I've got a big background in that niche. And so there's a lot of things there. So medical professionals, chiropractors, mainly, but really anybody that wants more traffic to their website. We have some really innovative stuff right now that that can take advantage of geolocation and geofencing and hyperlocal and stuff like that. Really, really neat stuff. So that's kind of it. We also have a beta program that you guys need to check
hear more
out.
about that.
But yeah, you can contact me there. Scott@worldtouchcompany.com is my email.
Well, Scott, we'll have you back for a little bit more to expand local marketing, things like that. I think that'd be good. I know Jonathan probably love to have you on his other show for that as well.
Oh yeah, that'd be perfect.
And awesome. I've got a client too that we need to talk about. So
great.
But
thank you guys.
Go have dinner and tell Robbie I said hello.
You got it. We're gonna do it. Take care.
All right. Take care.
Take care, buddy.
Yep.
Good to see you.
Yeah, you too. Always.
Yep. Good stuff, man.
Yeah, man. So let me just share this formula real quick, just to fill our promise here.
By the way, I have pretty much tapped out this huge
whole
bottle.
thing, huh? Man, it's good on you. Better call the kids for a ride.
St. Bernard. Come
right,
pick me up from the office.
Yeah. All right. So here's the numbers. So if you do these three things, increase the number of clients, increase the average size of sale per client, increase the number of times clients return and buy again. It's the only three ways to grow business. Here's what it might look like. So if you have 1,000 clients, your average transaction value is $100. You do true transactions with that client per year. That's total income is $200,000. Right? So if you increase all three of those things by just 10%, it actually increases your business by 33.1%.
Right.
But here's the cool part. The numbers get really crazy after that. So 10% increase across the board gives you 33.1% increase. But if you go to the next step and you get a 25% increase, which is not ridiculous to do with some things that, with everything we talk about on this show, with stuff Scott was just talking about, if you get a 25% increase in each of those three areas, and most companies only focus on new clients, number one. It's always about acquisition. They don't do a good job of selling more and selling more often. But if you can increase all three, you can double your business, but with just a 25% increase in each of those categories.
Big time.
So you go from 200,000 to 390,000 in this example, which I think is just really amazing math if you sit down and think about it. And putting less. So many people put all their time and money into acquisition, increasing the number of clients, that they don't do a good job of
it's
number
the
2
worst.
and 3.
Yeah, that to me, that's the worst time spent. Is you should be increasing the number of customers or clients, but if you're putting that above and beyond increasing the average transaction of the current clients that you have, you're making a huge mistake.
Right.
It's like that whole acres of diamonds thing. Look in your own backyard. Look at your current customers and find out, okay, what are they're currently buying from you. What else can you sell to those loyal customers that will get, obviously they love you for a reason. So, but so many business owners, so many entrepreneurs go outside, it's like again, acres of diamonds. They're out there chasing new diamonds out there in the field. And they got diamonds right here in their own backyard. They got diamonds right here. Right here doing business with you. There's just other opportunities that they're saying, we love you, but you're only selling us this.
Well, and sometimes it does require you to add a product or service, right?
It does.
In order to do that. Often it requires that.
And sometimes it requires a conversation with them to say, what are you needing? What else are you needing? And that could go from an informational online business to, to offline business. What kind of other services are you looking to help you, grow your own business?
Or even simpler, what are they already buying in the same chain?
Yep.
So for instance, when we lived in Dallas way back in late 90s, early 2000s, we bought a new house and they had a lot of, there's a lot of big home builders in Dallas. So we go to the home builder and the home builder builds houses. They also offer mortgages because guess what?
Yep.
Most people are going to need a mortgage once they buy a house. But they didn't stop there.
Mm-hmm.
They offered pest control.
Yep.
They offered lawn care, like all the way down the line. Everything they thought you might need
Sure.
along the way. They were like we were just talking about earlier, we have a division that handles that. We have a sister company that handles that.
Mm-hmm.
And you could just go right down the line and have all your services, wrapped up with the same, basic company that you obviously trusted with a huge purchase.
Right.
How easy is it to trust them with pest control for, $50 a month, right?
Right.
After you just bought a, $200,000, $300,000, $500,000 house.
Absolutely.
So what in your industry would they buy next anyway? And how could you have something similar?
Absolutely.
That you could offer them? It wouldn't even have it should be quality, but it doesn't necessarily have to be better than anybody else because you've got the familiarity and the trust. As long as it's a good product and it does what you say it'll do,
right?
That's really all you need. It doesn't have to have a lot of bells and whistles or anything else.
Yeah.
So yeah, just figure out what they need down the line, downstream, upstream. Like what are they going to, buy before your product, after your product, and just start offering those things or find affiliate offers or JVs as Jabraham would call it JVs.
Yeah. JV partners.
Venture.
I mean, if you don't offer that product or service, find out who does. You can partner with them, right?
Yep.
You can still make money and you can build your trust as a concierge, right? Yeah. I mean, you're like, obviously if you know what you're recommending or what you're, obviously what you're selling to them in addition that you don't create yourself is trustworthy. Hopefully that's the case.
We see real estate agents and mortgage brokers do this all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Where they feed each other leads and hopefully they're getting, some percentage of that on either side.
Yep.
But even if they're not, it's a decreasing marketing cost.
Yeah.
Right. By teaming up and working together. So you're still increasing profit. You're still making money from that relationship. Yep. And there's those types of relationships, those joint venture type relationships in every field. I don't care what you're doing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So in fact, that makes me think of a conversation I need to have with a client. So,
remember what we talked about last week on the offers, consider what we're talking about here. When we were talking about the book, the $10 million, was it
$100 million offers?
Was it 100 million?
Okay, 100 million. You're thinking small, man.
I'm thinking too small.
Yeah.
Just how to, think above and beyond, package, even if you don't sell something, creating offers that you can, tie into what you offer that are maybe somebody else's that you can partner with and create like a concierge service that creates that even, amplifies the value of what you already offer.
And a lot of these places, you don't even have to call a person. Like a lot of companies have affiliate programs already set up. Like you don't have to work for it. You just sign up for it. Yep. So go back to $100 million offers. If you think about a gym trying to get numbers, trying to get new members, you could offer them, factor meals or one of the meal services and get a 10% commission for them signing up for that. And it's a little extra ongoing commission.
That's right.
And it serves the customer because they're more likely to stay on their diet, which means they're more likely to stay in the gym and, the longevity. So you got to look for those types of things, but you don't always have to have your own service. You could just piggyback on what somebody else is doing.
Bingo.
So,
yep. Love it.
All right. Well, I think we're at or past time. I'm finished with my beer. I think you're almost finished with yours. So
yes.
We must
and I will post a link. I'm going to find it, and I will post a link to Jay Abraham's incredible case studies. Notice the 2002. This is goes way back.
That was before the internet, wasn't it? Seems like
it was the infancy of the internet, but pretty much prior to social media and everything that we have.
Back when we still got 3-ring binders. You printed that one out yourself, right?
Oh, back in 2000, I think it was like 2005. I went through and printed out every page of this.
Yeah.
Because I was like, this is great. And I still use it. I keep it on a bookshelf in my office, but it's just that good. So it's good to, even in the day of social media, everything digital. It's so good to go through some of the case studies that he has from, especially
Yeah,
from
I
like a
mean,
B2B sales, B2B marketing.
this whole middle shelf here is,
Yeah.
it's 2 shelves worth of 3-ring
Mhm.
binders that I just can't get rid of because they're so much easier and faster to reference
That's right.
than digging through my digital file cabinet.
No doubt.
So, all right.
All
Well,
right.
I guess Happy New Year. I mean, by the time most people hear this, it'll be a new year. We'll be in
That's right.
2022. We'll have to kick off some how to get rich in 2022 episodes.
Last podcast of 2021.
Yeah.
It's been fun. Been a fun ride for us this year. Looking forward to 2022.
Yep.
Gonna have some more good content, a lot of great guests on for the upcoming year. Sean, it's gonna be pretty exciting.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, to all of our listeners, hope you have a happy and safe holiday. Hope you have a happy and safe New Year's Eve. Enjoy the time, and look forward to seeing you again in 2022. I'd say it's like I still can't get used to saying that.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
Seeing you in 2022.
Yeah, it does rhyme though.
It does. But everyone, take care. Sean, we got a fun game tomorrow happening, right?
Yes. Yep. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs
Hopefully.
over Michigan. I mean, we got a nice little. I don't know, man. I'm a little nervous. I don't know what to expect, but I think we'll pull it off, and we'll end up in the championship, and we'll see what comes. We'll see what happens from there. After that beating in the championship, I'm just kind of
feels like a Georgia fan again, doesn't it?
Kind of feels like deja vu that we're gonna go back to that again, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
But anyway, to all of our listeners, have a safe, enjoyable, happy New Year. We look forward to talking to you again next week and in a brand new year. Take care, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
All right.